All right, good afternoon, everyone. Just give it another minute, see if there's anybody else that will be joining today, and then we will get started. All right, Scott, you ready to get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining, everybody. I'm Jennifer with NEMRA, Membership Engagement Specialist. And today we have Scott with Rep Fabric to talk more about how to amplify sales with independent reps. Scott?
Thank you so much, Jennifer. I appreciate it.
Of course.
We have about 30 minutes for this. I think we're going to try to do some Q&A at the end, but I did want to go through just a quick agenda, give you a couple minutes on myself and Rep Fabric, the company, go through the intent of the webinar, and then the first 15 minutes will really be how reps utilize CRM platforms like Rep Fabric. And then I'm going to tell a couple quick stories and some tips of how to better work with reps. So the webinar is really geared towards manufacturers to help them understand how they can work better with rep agencies. But I know we have some familiar names from rep agencies on as well. So I'd love to hear your feedback after this webinar. So quick background on me, I spent 25 years with manufacturers. So excuse me, I started my career with GE, which of course is now ABB. But I spent 10 years there in a variety of roles. Then I was the head of marketing for a division of Pentair, which is a pump company. At least the division was. Then I went to Masco, where I was the VP of sales and marketing. I had rep agencies that worked for us there. We implemented Salesforce. And then after I left Masco, I went to Lixil. Lixil is the parent company to American Standard, Grohe, and DXV. So in my last role there, my team and I had 26 rep agencies, about $500 million in sales. We implemented Salesforce. I was going down the road of buying community license so that my reps could fill up my instance of Salesforce. And we'll talk more about that here in just a minute. And so today, 3.5 years in, I'm the chief revenue officer and a partner in Rep Fabric. So Rep Fabric, just is a technology company. We're a CRM company at the end of the day. We have over 900 companies and 9,000 users on our various platforms. And really, our mission in life is to make salespeople's lives better by making them more efficient at their job so they can sell more. And these are the various products. Again, I'm not going to read this page to you here, but we have ManuFabric for manufacturers, Rep Fabric, of course, for manufacturers reps, Disty Fabric for distributors. And we'll talk a little bit towards the end about a product we called CRM Sync. And that's just the idea of connecting a manufacturer's CRM with a rep agency CRM. So we'll talk about that towards the end. So again, high level here is to really understand how reps utilize a CRM system and why that is a benefit to you, the manufacturer, and how you could possibly increase that benefit. The second piece is really just understanding reps in a deeper manner so you can provide them the best information possible to maximize their effectiveness, because when you give them the best information possible, you become easier to work with. They spend more time on your lines, and it's a good symbiotic relationship. So again, we're going to spend just 10 or 15 minutes using Rep Fabric as a representative CRM system. Just know, a lot of good CRM systems out there are going to have a lot of capabilities you're seeing here. So again, whether it's Salesforce or others, there's other systems out there. Of course, we're using Rep Fabric to just show you that way. So at the end of the day, as I mentioned, we're a sales efficiency tool. So there's two ways to grow sales. You can either hire more people or become more efficient. And we did a survey back in 2022 of about 400 companies, and those who had high adoption of their CRM system grew on average 8%. Those who had low adoption grew on average around 2%. And I wouldn't get hung up on the 8 or the 2. It's really the delta in between that shows us high adoption of CRM systems lead to better sales overall. So the way a CRM system is devised is you're going to have your company Rolodex. So that's your companies and your contacts that are within those companies. And hopefully those contacts have revenue opportunities tied to them. So once we have your contacts, now we're able to do kind of CRM stuff. So in the CRM, you can set goals for yourself or for the company overall or for your salespeople. You can, of course, track your activities. In other systems, either called sales calls or they might be called meetings, just depends on which particular system you're using. We call it activity journal. Also tracking your opportunities, whether those are stocking opportunities or jobs and projects, right? Then you can also track your quotes and your samples, or what we call lend items. And then kind of the other side of what we do is tracking sales and commissions and expenses. So that's going to be your orders, and some industries are design wins, your invoices, your sales commission dollars, and then kind of lying underneath that, like I said, some CRM systems, including us, have an expenses module. So what I want to do is just take you through a couple of use instances of a CRM system. And I like to start with a day in the life of a salesperson, because the salesperson, typically an outside person, is living on their phone after they're meeting with customers. So this is, again, just a screenshot of what the phone would look like. And so the use case is this. I'm going to go see United Engineering. I'm going to meet with Abby. I'm going to talk about some general information about my company and about a couple of my product lines. So you can see here when I click on this meeting link, it's already pre-populated with who I'm meeting with. I can change my type of call if I want to. In this case, I'll just leave it as a sales call. I can quick tag my line card, so I don't want to see my entire line card. I just want to see the things that I talked about when I was with Abby. So we talked about my general company info, Dervent, and REAM. I filter on those. And now for my general company info, I could just talk to text on my phone. So I explained to Abby why we are the premier manufacturer's rep in the region. So for my other product lines, I'm going to do what we call canned notes. So there's things that I always talk about when it comes to Dervent and REAM. So here I talked about this product line, the Direct Vent Pro, or the Pellet Vent Pro. And for REAM, I talked about, if I click here, I talked about the Endeavor line. So now in a matter of 60 seconds, I've recorded the conversations I've had with Abby. Other people in my company can see these conversations, assuming they have permissions. I can set follow-ups for myself to remind me about important conversations I had. I can do other things like create an opportunity from here, or attach it to an existing opportunity, or create a calendar invite. In this case, I'm going to create a to-do for my inside person. So I'm going to talk in here, please send her a price sheet. And then I can assign that to-do to my inside person, in this case, Bill Murray. And what will happen, Bill will get email notification and system notification that he has a task or a to-do. If I go back to the main screen, you'll see I have a green check mark there on where that to-do was sent to him. So again, 16 seconds, now within 90 seconds, I've assigned a task to my inside person. The other use case of the mobile app is doing a pre-company review. So let's say I'm just walking into a wholesaler, maybe it's been a while since I've been there, or maybe I'm pitch hitting for one of my sales guys. I can just go to my companies tab. And when I go to Ace Supply Tampa, for instance, in my companies tab, I can see all the basic information there. So once I click on Ace Supply, here's their basic location. Here's everybody who works there. Here's all the opportunities I have with them, like a stock order for Zern right there. Here's all the activities. We can see that if I look on my activity sheet, Chris has a lot of conversations with Jenny, and here's the stuff they've been talking about. If I go to my More tab, I'd be able to see all the jobs that I'm tracking with Ace Supply, like the UPS campus upgrade. If I'm pulling in quotes, I'd see quotes specific to that account, orders specific to that account, and most importantly, sales dollars. And we're going to talk about sales dollars quite extensively towards the end. So if I'm getting good information from my manufacturer, I can actually drill down into one. So I'm going to drill into Honeywell, for instance, and figure out why we're up so significantly. So I can look at it by product family. So this really enables your rep salespeople to have business conversations directly from their phone, assuming they're able to load their sales and commissions in a timely and efficient manner. Let's say I get done early, I can use my nearby function. And what that does is using my GPS location of my phone, pulls up a color-coded list of people who are around me. So in this case, I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to go see another distributor. In this case, it's going to be Graybar. I can click on Graybar, hit directions, and Google Maps takes me there. So that's a quick view of how outside people use the mobile app. What I want to show you next is a basic workflow within CRM. So activity journals or sales calls or meetings are all conversations. What we're hoping those conversations lead to is revenue generating opportunities. What sometimes those opportunities are going to be within a project or a job. So this is kind of the workflow you'd see in a CRM system. So you remember I was talking on my phone. Now I'm just going to do this on the web. So I can go to my activity journal right after my sales call. I can record my notes by manufacturer. So I've pre-populated this one because you saw me already do this on the phone, right? So I can just go to new activity journal. Here's the different things we talked about. My company info. We talked about Duravent. We talked about Ream again. So now once I populate that conversation, if you look closely, under one of those, there is an opportunity. So during this meeting, it says once direct event pro for the Marriott job. So that's an opportunity for my manufacturer Duravent. So I can use this button here and I can convert it to an opportunity. And once I've done that, it'll push all the comments from my activity journal to the opportunity so I don't have to double type, right? So now I can open that opportunity with that same icon. And when I do, now I'm jumping out of the activity journal module and into the opportunity module. So now these opportunities are going to be manufacturer specific. So again, this is opportunity for Duravent, pre-populated with all the things that came over from the activity journal. So I don't have to do double typing. And again, though, this particular opportunity is part of a job. So what I'm going to do with this opportunity is now I'm going to attach the opportunity into a job. So I do that just by hitting this blue button towards the top called Link to Job. And so now I'm taking this opportunity, I'm putting it into a job folder, if you will. So think of the job as a collection of opportunities. So when I hit Link to Job, I can go and select an existing job, or what I can do is create a new job. So in this case, I'm going to create a new job. So when I click on New, I can just say it's the Marriott job, it's worth $500,000. It's in the specifying stage, whatever the details are relevant for the particular job. So once I fill out the new job form and hit save, now what we'll see is I've got all the job details saved. And so I can click on the button now that used to be linked to job is now linked job. So when I click on that, now I'm going to the jobs module and I can see the job, the Marriott job there. And within that, I've got all kinds of details, related companies, what have you. But in this case, I can go and see all the comments again have come over from the opportunity. And now I can actually click on the opportunities tab and see what opportunities I have in this job. Because hopefully, as a multi-line manufacturer's rep, I'm going to have multiple manufacturers eventually on this job. So now we can see this opportunity is linked to this job and they'll be stay linked throughout. So the other thing I want to show is, again, I talked about sales data being in good format. It's also important that as a manufacturer, you're providing good master parts data to your rep agencies, particularly if they're quoting on your behalf. So I know a lot of manufacturers have their own quotation tools. This is really for that quick quote for people who are just doing quick part number quotes. So here's how this plays out. So I'm in my email now. I get an email from Debbie. She's saying, hey, Chris, I'm in the design stage. Can you quote this job? And so I just go to my Sync Plus tool. I hit new quote. Excuse me. I populate the manufacturer, in this case, Eaton. Once I've done that and I save this, that will generate a quote template in the background based on the fact I picked Eaton. So now I can just go in and start typing in part numbers. It's an ABA, whatever it might be. I'm going to offer a quantity of 10. I save that line item, and now I'm going to do that process again, add another line item. I can even search by description if I'm getting good descriptions. It's an NPT, what have you. She wants quantity 2 of those. I save that and I continue that workflow. And then now once I reply to her, you'll see in the Sync Plus tool, I actually have a little PDF button on the side. And when I click on that PDF button with an arrow, it's going to put the PDF right into the email, and I'm going to mark it as delivered. And now I'm going to say, hey, Debbie, here's your quote. So I'm not going to send this particular email. I'm going to double click on the PDF so you have a good understanding of what these quote templates look like. So when I double click on this PDF, what I'll see is here's my quote template. So here's my logo. Here's all the lines I quoted. By the way, if you're providing images or links to spec sheets, what have you, those can also be put into the quote document. All right. Also, by the way, again, why we need that good data coming from a manufacturer is because we want to make sure we have good reports that we can share with our team and with our manufacturers. So this is just a quick snapshot of what the reporting capabilities look like in a CRM system. Okay, so that was a quick 10 minutes on how a rep, a couple of use cases of how a rep would use a CRM system. The next thing I'm going to go over in the next 10 or 15 minutes is just some things that we have learned over the years because we work with so many rep agencies and their manufacturers and their distributors. Just some quick tips. And again, some of these are going to be coming from my lens, some from the Rep Fabric lens, but hopefully each are beneficial to you. So one of the things I learned as the head of sales over American Standard was making sure your own company understands your go-to-market strategy and why you're employing independent reps. So I've got a couple of examples here. The first one is stressing the idea that's a variable cost model, right? So during COVID, I had a competitor that, COVID was in March. Come April, they started laying off their direct sales team because they had a fixed cost model. We didn't. And of course, a few months later, when the business came back in a big way, they were not positioned to take advantage of it. And we were because we had rep agencies. The other main thing, the second bullet there is the making sure your team understands the complementary lines. You may not always be the lead on a project, but you may be pulled along because of the other lines that a rep agency has. The third one was the pre-existing and deep relationships. I mean, the fact is you hire local rep agencies because they have those local relationships. Sometimes, it could be that their dad did business together 30 years ago, or their kids play soccer together. And the example I always use is when I went to visit Louisiana, even though I used to live in Louisiana for a couple of years, but I went back and I was visiting with a local rep and I sat down with a couple of different distributor principals. And I always got the same two questions when I sat down with them. And the first question was, "Hey, Scott, how you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm doing great. How are you, sir?" "I'm doing well." Second question, "Where are you from?" Because it was evident I was not from Louisiana. So that instant credibility of having that local relationship is huge. And the fourth one is really just that feet on the street. So if you look back at my business from 4 years ago, 5 years ago now almost, we had 26 rep agencies, but within those agencies, there were 400 salespeople. So we had great coverage. What happened was I left that business that I mentioned. And if you looked at their rep map in September of 2021, you would see they had 26 rep agencies, as I mentioned before. If you look at the rep map the next month, because the then CEO wanted to go direct, the rep map would look like this. So there's only 5 rep agencies left now. The cautionary tale here is, of course, this affected a lot of people on the rep side of the business. But for the manufacturer, what happened over the next 3 years is they lost double-digit sales in each of the 3 years in this particular channel. And then about 3 or 4 months ago, the CEO who made this decision has since left the company. So, all right. Second thing we learned is I've mentioned this a couple of times. Please be sure that you're providing good data to your rep agencies. And if you're a rep agency and you're not getting good data, make sure you're raising your hand and telling your head of sales at that manufacturer that you need good data. So again, this could be sales and data commissions. I'm sorry, sales and commission data. It could be part number and pricing data. There's even a possibility to link systems together, as I mentioned, and we'll talk more in a minute. Order data in a timely manner. At the end of the day, the easier you make it for your rep to do business with your particular line, the more they're going to sell that line. So one example of this would be, believe it or not, we still see a lot of commission statements, a lot of sales statements, what you see on the left, and whether those are PDFs or even hard copy mailing out still to people. So if whenever possible, please provide an Excel spreadsheet, because this data on the left is coming from some kind of system, which probably has the ability to produce an Excel spreadsheet, which will make it so much easier for your reps to load their sales and commissions into their CRM. And again, don't feel bad if you're a manufacturer and you don't know what the commission statement looks like. I didn't. I had, for 5 years, I ran the team and I never saw a commission statement. It never hurt to be a problem. Although looking back, I'm sure we had some difficulties in providing good and accurate data. So the tip 3, excuse me. This is kind of what I wish I would have understood better as a manufacturer. So the first thing is that a CRM, customer relationship management tool, is not a pure configure price quote tool. So as you can see, most CRMs have the ability to do some kind of quotation, like I showed you, via Outlook or even directly, but it's not a pure CPQ tool. So that's why at Rep Fabric we integrate to other quotation tools like IS Quote for plumbing or Auto Quotes for food service, etc. Also understand the CRM kind of sits around the CPQ tool. and it's really for the front end and the follow-up on the back end. So, and if you're as a manufacturer, if you want to understand what your reps are doing to access that data, make it easy for the rep to provide it to you. And I'm going to show you a couple examples of what that looks like. And my other piece of advice for a manufacturer is don't make your rep do double entry. There are tools out there so that you don't have to do double entry. And the final one here, which is a little bit of a side, is understand your reps' marketing capabilities. That's another thing that I made a mistake. I went to my reps 5 or 6 years ago and started asking for their contacts. It was not nefarious. I was trying to do marketing on their behalf. What I didn't understand is I should have actually been providing collateral to my reps so they could do local marketing in their areas. So we'll talk about some different ways of doing that here in the next 3 or 4 minutes. So just want to show you like this high level sales process. Again, the CPQ kind of sits in the middle of this. So if you have a pricing tool, that's kind of where it sits. But understand that everything that's around it is what the CRM is for. And if you don't have a good CRM, you might drop the ball when you come to one of these arrows. So understand the CPQ kind of fits in the middle here. The CRM kind of fits around it and hopefully integrates too. Oh, another thing, as far as data is concerned, one of the questions we get from reps that I got, particularly when I first joined Rep Fabric, because I knew I came from manufacturers, why is my manufacturer always asking me for so much data, right? And the reason why is because as manufacturers and as rep agencies, there are times we leave each other in a data drought, right? Not feeding enough information back and forth to each other. And that can become very frustrating. It was for me. So what I did, VP of Sales at ABC Manufacturing Company, was said, you know what, I'm going to put a CRM tool in because I was tired of going into SOIP meetings. SOIP stands for Sales and Operations Inventory Planning. And I'd sit down with my counterparts in operations and they would say, hey, what's coming down the funnel? And I didn't have good data, right? So what I did and what so many of us do is implement a CRM system. We put it in Salesforce. There's 100 out there, Fabric being one of them, and Dynamics, Sugar, et cetera, ones you may have heard of. And then you say, okay, now I'm getting all this good data. I'm going to have my reps start filling it out for me. The problem with that is if you're a rep agency with 12 lines, that means you're at some point going to start filling out 12 CRM systems. And that's exactly what happened to my partner, John, when he had his own rep agency. Back in 2013, he was having to fill out 12 CRM systems, and that's an electronic market. And we're seeing that trend more and more, even though the past 3 years in my old world, the plumbing market, more and more manufacturers asking for more and more data. So really what we want to do is facilitate that data. And there's a couple of different ways of doing it because the rep agency knows if they don't give you that data, they might lose that line. So a couple of different ways of doing it. Before we get into that, understand like if we can share this data back and forth as a manufacturer and as a rep agency, it's going to make both companies better. And once you have a better manufacturer, it means you're going to sell more product. And if you're easier to work with, again, the reps are going to sell you more. Their customers are going to be happy because you're providing better service and better products. And at the end of the day, that means the reps getting paid more commission dollars. So how do we do this? There's 2 kind of basic ways that we advise. Number one is there's reports that can come out of a CRM system. We call ours a living report, where this can be set up once, then on a regular basis shared with the manufacturer. Once this is set up, every time you open it up, it refreshes. It brings the most recent opportunity or activity or quotes or jobs, whatever it is that you're sharing, up to the top. And so sharing this with a regional manager, let's say, is basically a 3-minute exercise. The second piece is, as I mentioned before, syncing the 2 systems together. So we do this with a couple dozen manufacturers now, where they have typically Salesforce, but we do it also with Sugar and others, but that we're syncing the rep CRM system with the manufacturer's CRM system. And so there's different things you can share. So master part data being, accounts, parts, and pricing, activities, opportunities, jobs, quotes can be shared, orders, invoices, commissions, et cetera. So really in the back end stuff. Typically what we see is manufacturers want to know about opportunities, right? The manufacturer specific opportunities. So that's more likely than not the module that we would hook up between the 2 systems. So no, there is engineering charges for that, but it is possible to do. Like I said, we do it a couple of different manufacturers, a couple dozen manufacturers. Finally, again, I didn't understand that my reps had their own kind of, I knew some of them did, but I didn't understand fully their own marketing capabilities. So A lot of reps utilize integrations with their CRM systems with third-party mail services like MailChimp and with AutoClose. So we actually integrate to those two systems. What's great about that, and we do have an AutoClose webinar coming up on the 4th of October, I believe. What's great about each of these systems, they have different use cases. MailChimp is great for the newsletter. You know, you're sending out to thousands of people. It's they do not reply. You get them from in your personal life, I'm sure, as well. AutoClose is great because it's a targeted campaign. That's a drip campaign, and it comes from your inbox. So it's going to be, hey, from Michael Smith. So it's going to come from the local rep agency. Then there's other things you can do within the CRM. You can do canned pitches, and these are great if you're just going to do a quick little one-off email. Great for advertising new products after you've met with a client. And then within the system, you can also do quick target emails. So just know there's all different kinds of email marketing. My advice to manufacturers is provide the collateral necessary to make the marketing content great. Because what happens is if you have good collateral through these integrations, my rep does an auto close campaign. They can actually, because they integrate to CRM, it can actually create an opportunity or a task or an activity for a salesperson. So you kind of turn the marketing campaign into a sales campaign. So okay, a couple of quick plugs. I know there's a lot of information. So we do have a 3-hour class that actually a NEMRA member has participated in already a couple of months ago. It's basically a 3-hour version of what you're seeing here. So it's really understanding how to maximize the output from independent reps, and then also the advantages of working with independent reps. So think of the past 30 minutes in an expanded version with a little more deep dive into tools. As I mentioned, we do have webinars fairly regularly. Most of our webinars are open to everybody. Some are only for customers for intellectual property reasons, but you can register for a webinar on our website here. So if you want to learn more, that's my email address and my cell phone. So feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email. And Jennifer, I don't know if you're still there, but happy to answer any questions if we have them.
Yes, I'm here. See if there's anything in the chat. So I don't see anybody has posted anything. Does anybody have any questions for Scott? Okay, so as for the
I do have one question. Will we get a copy of the presentation?
yeah, I was getting ready to answer that. Yes,
Okay.
there will be a copy sent via to all NEMRA members upon the completion, but it might not be today. It'll probably be later this week.
Awesome. All right. Well, if we don't have any questions, Jennifer, I want to thank you so much for the invite. We really appreciate being able to participate and love the fact that we're NEMRA members.
Of course. Thank you so much. Everybody have a great day.
Bye-bye.